What celebrity would you not be surprised to find out was a serial killer? So basically it seems Reddit would be surprised if Tom Cruise wasn't a serial killer. Mark Zuckerberg. That lifeless face. That wealth of personal information. That series of scores to settle with pretty much everyone who has ever questioned his personal habits and inability to function like a human. Jared Leto. Look, the guy just... I don't know, he gives off the vibe of somebody who is in constant danger of being exposed for being a felon. He has a weird energy. Where are the bodies, Garth? Joel Osteen. He has the smile of someone with a pile of bodies buried in the backyard of his Mac mansion. Actual cannibal Shia LaBeouf. O.J. Simpson. Jeff Bezos with the I love you my alive girl text. Jared Leto. Kenneth Copeland. I know he's not exactly a mainstream celebrity, but he is a televangelist, so kind of a celebrity. He looks straight up demonic. That cannibal guy Army Hammer or whatever. Kevin Spacey. A bunch of the people who outed him are dead now if I remember correctly. People keep saying names that aren't Steven Seagal. Kevin Spacey. Dr. Phil. Tom Cruise. Mark Zuckerberg. Jared Leto. Tom Cruise. There is no doubt in my mind that Jeff Bezos hunts humans for sport on a private island. Not a shred of doubt. Not quite a serial killer, but I'm thinking Drake is going to be named by R. Kelly. Tom Cruise. Eric Clapton. Think about it. Hendrix is a rising star, set to overtake Clapton as the GOAT, then he dies shortly after befriending an initially very jealous Clapton. SRV starts ripping Hendrix songs and people are saying he'll be the next Jimmy, then Clapton lets him use his helicopter and he dies. Skinhead start rocketing up the charts. Plane crash. Mostly dead. Dwayne Allman won't let Clapton join the Allman Brothers. Dead. He's a goddamn murderer. Gwyneth Paltrow. Remember to sort by controversial so we can find the true serial killers. Wouldn't be surprised if Jared Leto is the modern day Charles Manson. Ellen. Does royalty count? If so, Prince Andrew or Prince Charles. Ran with Epstein. Was at the island. I don't know if this would qualify him as a serial killer, but would anyone be surprised if it turned out that Elon Musk hunted his childhood bullies on a private preserve for sport? Matt Lauer. Shaves his head to avoid leaving DNA. Kris Jenner. Sacrificing people to some deity to achieve her family fame and fortune empire. Dear Chris, I'm kidding. Don't cease and desist me, or sacrifice me please. James fricking Spader. The Lizard King. Worked on 2 Jim Caviezel projects. Dude was nice as frick, but he weirded me out. You get stabbed, and you get stabbed, and you get stabbed. Everybody gets stabbed. Quentin Tarantino. Obviously. Andy Dong. Tom Cruise. It won't be someone obvious. It will be someone considered sweet and wholesome who donates to charities. I came into this thread expecting the number 1 answer to be Tom Cruise and the number 2 answer to be Shia LaBeouf. I was not too disappointed. Armie Hammer. How have I not seen his name mentioned yet? Alleged cannibal. Allegedi. Nonetheless, too bad too cause I enjoy his work. James Franco. Robin Thicke IDKY, but he seriously creeps me the frick out. Ted Bundy. There's just something about him. Carrot Top. Joel Osteen. That dude is creepy as frick. Owen Wilson. God, can you imagine being strangled to death and as the last bits of consciousness fade away and your sight gets dim, the last thing you just hear is, Row. Kanye West. I could see him going full end of the world cult leader and offing hundreds of people with punch. Jared Leto. Travolta. Sean Penn. Mark Zuckerberg for sure. David Walliams. He gives me major creeps. Garth Brooks. I fully believe he has already killed multiple people. Where are the bodies? Gee. The families need closure. Jeff Bezos. Charlie Sheen. Dog the Bounty Hunter. Kirk Cameron. Guy is a part of a cult type religion that states the reason why we're having storms and wildfires and even illnesses is because women refuse to be subservient to their husbands. Jared Leto hands down would not surprise me. I love his work, but Jim Carrey. 1000%. Tom Cruise. He's a freaking psycho, I can just tell. Jared Leto. Jim Gaffigan. He's a comedian and he's always so nice, but I can picture him talking about Waffle House while he's putting you in a chest. Betty White. She used the souls of her victims to keep her alive for centuries. Tobey Maguire. Read about Player X in Molly's Game. Tom Cruise. Oprah. Shia LaBeouf and or Jared Leto. Why has no one said David Dobrik? James Franco. Quentin Tarantino. If I found out tomorrow that Jared Leto started an underage Shrek cult and convinced his followers to kill for him, I would not only not be surprised, but quite a few people would owe me some beers. Really surprised to not see Mel Gibson here. He has a gore fetish and definitely hates a bunch of people. Jack Nicholson. Elijah Wood. He really sold it in Sin City. Nicolas Cage. Marilyn Manson honestly gives me serial killer vibes. Surprised I haven't seen him yet. Damn, I hope Tom Cruise doesn't see this. Tobey Maguire. Jay Leno. No doubt. So creepy. Bill Cosby. Tom Brady. Chip Gaines. 1000x Chip Gaines. Ryan Reynolds. Hear me out. Serial killers are usually who you would least see doing it. But if you took a step back, could totally see taking a life. And he strikes me as a guy that would do it and keep that witty charm and smile up while he did it. Like I don't think he would even feel it. Just more one-liners and banter. Steven Seagal. For obvious reasons. Chevy Chase. Tom Brady. There's something about the look in his eyes and dedication to perfection that makes me glad he channeled it in football, and I'm an Eagles fan. Gary Busey or James Woods. Michael C. Hall. Christopher Walken. John Travolta. That man gives me the creeps. Ted Cruz is the Zodiac Killer. Danny Bonaducci. Kevin Spacey. Amber Heard. Seinfeld. Serial killer. Mel Gibson. Crispin Glover. Don Cheadle. Because he is such a handsome and likable guy that he could probably joke about chopping people up and people would just be like, oh Don. Keanu Reeves used to impale his enemies on pikes centuries ago. He is so clocky about no one realizing that he is immortal that he even starred in the Francis Ford Coppola movie about himself. Tom Cruise and Joaquin Phoenix. Billy Bob Thornton. Quentin Tarantino with a room full of severed feet. Conan O'Brien. I've noticed that he jokes about murdering people quite a lot. It's funny, but there is a small part of me that has started to question if they are actually jokes. Australian singer-songwriter Nick Cave. He does sing about murder a lot. Christian Bale. Not because of his movie American Psycho, but he gets overly involved in his preparation for roles and when people, assistants, producers, camera people, around him to behave to his standards he goes 0-100 real quick. Ted Cruz. Garth Brooks. I know he has bodies hidden somewhere on his property. John Malkovich. James Franco. Gary Busey. He looks unstable. Quentin Tarantino is probably as close as we'll get to an in real life Yoshikage Kira. Justin Bieber. Jeff Bezos has tasted human flesh. I am certain of it. Jared Leto. He's got those crazy frick eyes. Why is everyone saying Tom Cruise? Also, how did I make the text small? Jason Statham. Looks like he'd stare a hole into you while garroting you in a toilet. Rosamund Pike. Come on, she looks the part. You guys are misunderstanding serial killers. They are not usually creepy. Most often they're charismatic and nice. They attract people. So my answer would be Tom Hanks. Not a serial killer, but I wouldn't be surprised to find out John Taffer has ties with the mafia. Think about it. He looks like the kind of guy that would walk into an establishment, very kindly ask for the owner, see him in a back alley just behind said business, remind him to pay his debt with the bods by Friday or his children will become orphans by Sunday morning, and then leave very casually. George Carlin made several comments in his books that he's killed random people that he'll never be caught for. Not even jokes, just flat out statements. I genuinely believe he did. Jared Leto. Armie Hammer. And it's actually not because of his recently publicized cannibalism fetish. He just has the American Psycho vibe. Impossibly perfect looking where you just know there's nothing remotely human behind his eyes. I could definitely see Jerry Seinfeld just strangling people in a fit of rage. Chris Brown. A wicked and sick fella. Ted Cruz and Mark Zuckerberg. Some have said Ted Cruz might be the Zodiac killer. Garth Brooks. Tell us where the bodies are, Garth. Ben Affleck. Mariah Carey. Just so smug about everything. Steve Bannon. Tom Cruise and don't sue me Scientologist.